Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and welcome to the live session. Welcome to the replay. Glad you're here with us. We're going to be taking a look at the markets, getting prepared for this trading session and the week ahead. We have a busy week on the calendar. We have tomorrow the FOMC rate statement and press conference. The market has about a 99.7% chance that the Fed will be on hold and keep the rate at 1.75. What does that mean for the US dollar? I'm not so sure yet. We're going to find out tomorrow. What else do we have? We have a very busy Thursday. We have fireworks across the board. We have, first of all, it's going to be a huge day for the pound as we have the elections. Whether or not the pound is going to make its move before or after remains to be seen, but we should expect some resolution on pound. We also have the Swiss National Central Bank with their policy assessment and press conference, and then the big event of the day on a really impactful day is the ECB policy statement, and followed by Christine Lagarde's first press conference. The ECB is expected to be on hold for quite a long time now. However, this is going to be her first press conference. They're going to be talking about their two-tier rate system, and she could slip up easily, although she has a lot of experience, right, heading the IMF. But we'll see. It's going to be a very impactful last couple of days, ending on Friday with retail sales also will be a big one. So let's take a look and focus in on the markets. Hey, good morning, everybody. Blair, Paul, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Wilfred, Raj, glad to see all you guys are here. Let's take a look at the markets. Let's see what's going on. I'm looking here at the Euro US dollar, but I'm going to jump over to gold. Gold, it looks like to me that it's going to be, all right, let me try to articulate what's going on here. I don't really have a clear signal of what's going to happen over the next couple of days at all. I'm not sure if there's going to be much of a reaction off of the FOMC, with the market pretty sure of what's to be expected. I do know, though, that if the Fed's going to remain on hold for the near term, that doesn't really provide much of a catalyst for gold. There's the possibility that the dollar is going to be firming up, since they're saying that the US economy looks okay. And if other central banks, they also seem to be on hold right now as well. So I'm not sure if it's a question of, the dollar is the best looking of the bunch or whatnot. I don't really have like an edge going into the meeting, as we've had over these last few months, knowing what was going to happen and what the market's reaction more or less would be. So I'm going to be focusing on gold. And you can see right now that it's in this little channel here. This looks like to me to be a bear flag. We have the resistance up here. And if we get into resistance going into the meeting, that gives us a really nice opportunity to play the reversal off of it, even if it's before the meeting, right? So I'm focused in on gold over these next 24 hours. If we do wind up getting closer to this resistance over here, not this top upper support over here, I should also draw in a flat line over there. If we get towards this red line resistance over here and price resumes off it, I am going to be focused in on gold here to try to get a nice short off of the resistance, and then hope tomorrow after the rate statement or during the press conference that we get a potential breakdown over here with my stop loss above this high over here. So that's how I'm looking to play gold if it happens. I'm not going to, only if we get closer to 1477, that's about $9 higher, and then resume off of it, will I look to take a position here sometime during London or even earlier in New York. but before the meeting. This trade will occur before the FOMC meeting. Let me take a look down at the 8-hour, just really quick with you before we move on. All right. So that's that. Whoa, did someone say that the China US deal was delayed? I haven't seen a headline yet. That's interesting. What's going to happen with the tariffs on the 15th? I think that's going to be the next thing that the market's really going to focus on, is what is happening on the 15th of December. Are the US going to be raising their tariffs? Has anyone heard anything about that this morning? I'm going to have to find out what's going on. Paul mentioned something about silver having a similar boom, boom, boom. Where's my silver? Yep. Yep, you can see it right there clearly. That's interesting. So I guess if you're, I don't trade silver, but if you got closer in the next, the next 24 hours, you got closer to testing this breakout here, and this, which should now be resistance, that also provides a good opportunity. And silver is gonna, if gold and silver move to the downside, silver is gonna lead. That's for sure. There's no question about it. Interesting. Good. Thanks for bringing that up for us to take a look at that. That's a good one to see. What's Bitcoin doing, by the way, before we move forward? It's just kind of stalled out over here. All right, what's going on? All right, before we get to the Euro US dollar, let's start off with the Euro Japanese yen. Okay, that's nice to see. We looked at this yesterday in the live stream, and I was saying that I'm going to stand aside. Right now, we have this support over here, and we expected it to hold until it doesn't anymore, right? And you can see prices bounced off there. The reason I didn't take this trade is because exactly what's happening right now. Let me look on the Euro Japanese yen. So we're hearing reports that the U.S. China trade deal is being delayed, but yet we're seeing the yen being sold, not bought. It's interesting. So the reason I didn't take this trade off of this support was because as soon as you got into the trade, you had this resistance, which we cleared above. We have this resistance, which we looked at yesterday, right here, this lighter, lower trend line here, which price is respecting right now. And then we have this one right above, this heavier one here. So we had like 3 points of resistance that you were taking the trade into, and it was just too congested for me to look at, so I didn't take it. And that's where you are right now. If you're long this, there was no thinking about selling this trade. The only way you could think about selling this is if we break outside of this trend line here, the lower bound, right? If you break outside of that pattern, and until you do, you can't think about selling unless you were up here in the sell zone. You were off, at the top end of this pattern, then you could sell off of there easily. But as you're down here hugging this trend line, you're only thinking about buying. This is support. You buy off the support. If it breaks, then you look to the side. But you're stuck. If you bought this, I stood aside because now I'm kind of stuck. Right? That's all. I cannot confirm or deny whether or not that is true or not. So while we're here, though, let's look at the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, because it's the same thing as happening on the Euro Japanese yen. They just seem very correlated, right? And again, it's just this is why we didn't take it yesterday. There's nowhere to go yet. So let's just give those pairs a little room to breathe, to work out a little bit, and when they offer some type of better opportunity, we'll look to get in them, but not right now. Where is their opportunity? That's the question, right? I'm watching gold, US dollar, Japanese yen. Paul, that's interesting. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, they had no other choice. That was our base case when we talked about the U.S. China. Our base case was that basically Trump wants to get reelected, so he can't escalate, and China really needs to help out their economy. So they're looking for some type of like, being able to buy some farm goods. But yeah, I'd be really surprised if they did raise tariffs. I guess the market seems to be ahead of that. Otherwise, we'd be seeing yen strength right now, and we're not. So it's interesting. Things are just being kicked down the road with nothing happening. Again, it's all priced into the charts. I like to know what's going on though, to have just a better understanding. But the market is definitely reflecting that right now. What's happening here with the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen? We see that we've broken down outside of the rising trend channel, but we have overhead resistance and support down here, and we're just stuck in no man's land. We're absolutely nowhere, right? So there's no edge either way to the upside or downside at the moment. She's just completely stuck in the middle. And all right, so let's give it a day or two for that to be resolved. Probably, maybe after the FOMC. It seems like, the I don't know. It seems like maybe the market is stepping back from the current pressure of the trade deal right now, and it's just becoming a little less of a non-factor at this moment, as long as the tariffs aren't going on. All right. Euro US dollar though. So taking a step back, looking at the daily, we broke out of the trend line, came up into the resistance, broke through this support line all the way down to our support where we were interested in buying, and have since bounced off. I would have got out of this yesterday. Prices, we said it could get up to here. So tomorrow, or over very similar to gold, if we get up into this resistance line over here, the red one above us, and then price is rejected, that looks like a good place to get short the Euro US dollar, especially with the Fed being on hold tomorrow. That's the way I see it, at least. If we get any opportunity, let's look on the 8-hour here. This is a really difficult week to trade, by the way. It's a really difficult week to trade, but we could see some big moves. All right. So let's be alert. Let's be really mentally alert here and make sure that we are seeing things correctly. Right here, obviously, we're between this minor support. All right, the strongest support is this trend line and the resistance above us, and we're closer to the resistance here. Any headway we make up towards this resistance, if price is rejected, again, I will take this. I'm traveling tonight. Obviously, it's tough, but I will look to set orders during Asia for London if we're up here. And I'll be looking to get short this before the meeting, because just like gold, my risk will be really, really well defined. And if I could kind of get into the move at both places at nice resistance, and the trade works out, could have a nice trade on my hands. Either which way, if we get close to that resistance and they are rejected by it, I will look to take a position before the FOMC. Otherwise, we will be reevaluating tomorrow during New York. And then we don't have the FOMC until the afternoon. Let's see what's going on with the pound. And so it looks pretty good, pretty healthy. It looks like the pound is making a kind of like a preemptive move of the elections tomorrow. That's good. I have no idea how that's going to play out. I can only watch it on the charts. Same thing with the pound, Japanese yen. Pound just looks strong. So it seems to me that the market's already pricing in the outcome of the election. You have to watch out if you are in a long position on the pound, if it becomes a sell the news type event. So you have to know where the resistance is above you, right? if we get like an initial spike off the results. Well, this is not until Thursday. We could talk about this more tomorrow. But if you get an initial spike off the results, you have to watch what happens at that first resistance level above you, right? You need a clean break and get above it. Otherwise, if you start getting rejected, then you have to be aware that it could be a sell the news type event. All right. You just have to be alert. You have to play in your head the outcomes of both sides always in a trade, and not just be tied to one, so that you're protected. I have my resistance higher. I have my resistance up at 1477. Yep. There is at 1472. You could see this is where price closed and opened over here. And then over in this area that was respected. It's lighter. I like mine's up a little higher, about $5 higher at 1477. All right. But you don't, it's not like like even over here, price traded above where I had my resistance, but it never closed above there and then resumed over. So even when price was trading up here, we didn't consider that a breakout. We were watching to see if that was a breakout. It's not like you picked an exact number and that's the number of the sand in the line. You have to watch how price reacts and it specifically closes around those important levels. So if you're trading anywhere in this area and then price resumes downward, for me, that's making a lower low than a previous 8-hour price bar, Snowy, then I'm looking to get shorted. All right. I'm not going to take a short down here. We're in no man's land. Only if the trade comes to me will I take it. Only if in the next 24 hours we are able to get closer towards this resistance and then price rejects it by making a lower low than the 8-hour price bar. It's not happening right now. Let's see what's going on during London. Mimag, good to see you. Good morning. US dollar, Canadian dollar. This looks good. This looks good here, as I was waiting for this yesterday for price to come along after, right? So just really quick, price broke down over here, but then this was the poor PMI numbers, I believe. No, that looks like that was them on the Bank of Canada on hold. And then it was on Friday when they had the poor, here we go, unemployment change. So this was the bank on hold, crashed down through 1, 2, 3 support levels, didn't hold this breakout. And then on Friday, you had the really poor unemployment numbers, and it came back and took out the multiple resistance levels. So you have a lot of traders on the wrong side of the trade down here. But once price came back up, I said, let's wait and see if we test down this lower trend line over here, which is so far been traded to and respected. So on the 8-hour, what does that look like? And that looks good for me, right? You did have over here during London, price make a higher high than the previous. So the true trend is negative, right? The true trend is negative, but I'm playing this support line over here. Again, as I just went over what happened as far as the multiple supports being broke and then 2 days later being regained. So then I was just looking for the price to pull back into this support line, right? And I have support down here. So I have double support here and price looks good. During London, it made a higher high. That could have been an entry if someone was looking at it. Obviously, I wasn't. And now we have this night, it took out the high and the low of that previous price bar. Where are you now? It looks good for me. I'm interested here. So what I'm looking at is what I would do. So the way that I'm going to look to enter this trade now would simply be if during New York we make a higher high than London session, I'm looking to go ahead and to enter it. Otherwise, I'm going to wait. I won't take the signal during Asia. So if we make a higher high during Asia, I just missed it. unless we don't, and then I have the opportunity in London. And as far as a stop loss, my stop loss would be under here, right around 1.31. Right about 1.3191 is where I'm going to put my stop loss if I take that trade. And I'm watching it. I'm watching US dollar, Canadian dollar, gold, and euro US dollar. All right. If we do get any type of sell the news price action going on the pound on Thursday, just trying to get this into my head to look over here to the euro pound. Anyway, not too interesting in this moment. Maybe not actually. The US dollar Swiss franc is trading back down towards the bottom of the blue box. This is a pretty strong support level that is held going back all the way till September. Interesting how price is going to react down here again, right? You have the US on hold. You have the Swiss central bank also meeting the day after on Thursday. So this is a pretty jumpy rail to be trading right now with two central banks meetings coming up in the next 2 days. And the reason I say that is because I have no idea what's expected out of the Swiss central bank. I have absolutely no idea. So I would not get involved. We know that the ECB plans on being on hold. This looks like the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar is trading down near this support of this trend line. That's interesting play, right? What does that look on the 8-hour? That looks pretty solid. You can see price right down here is trading at multiple support. These was all resistance. Broke through, still resistance, and then was holding a support. So we're trading at, a support level right here, and you have the support underneath. This trade looks interesting to the upside. I'm going to take a look now then at the Australian dollar, US dollar, and get a better feel for what's going on with the Australian dollar. Okay, we'll take a look at that in a second. Let me mark this. Let me mark this actually. Something that I could see, come back to. Let me take a look at the euro Australian dollar. See the Australian dollar is weaker versus the euro also, and the Australian dollar, the US dollar. Ooh, that doesn't look good. This is looking weak. She broke out of this, was rejected by this. She had broken over the support and now has since been rejected. Jeff was looking over here at this double resistance over here. That looks like it was the play right now. And you see the true trend turning south over here. So right now you have the support level that she's barely holding. She gets below it. That looks pretty bearish. You have to watch that. Also, what's going on over here? I don't see an entry yet on this, but it looks like she's getting ready to make some further gains to the downside. I just don't see a setup right now. We'll come back to it, but it looks like she's getting ready to extend gains to the downside here. As far as what happens if you were long gold from 62, what do you do now? I don't know. I'm trying to see what was the entry for buying gold at 62. So if we're not going to get into it too much, if you bought gold at 62, where were you looking to sell into, right? I mean, I would probably looking, if I was interested in buying gold down in 62, to at least be looking to sell into the resistance level up here, right? Just be careful what your stop was. I don't see the buy on gold. Well, you know, that looks very counter trend, and it also looks very see a little bit of a trend line developing down here. You know, I wouldn't have been looking to buy down below. And if you did, you know, and you have a trade on your hands, I'd be looking definitely to take profit into that resistance, and definitely locking in my stop. I'm looking for gold to go lower if I get a rejection of this resistance, or if it just goes lower without me getting a chance, you know, to get a rejection off this resistance. I'm not going to follow it to the downside. But gold, to me, in my opinion, it looks like it's weak into the sell. So I would be taking a look at, did you buy it off of the bottom of this, you know, little bear flag, or you know, I'm not sure. You know why, King? We need some help understanding why you bought that, but it seems a little bit risky, aggressive. You know, not a high probability trade. So what else we have going on? What is everyone looking at? Are we seeing the New Zealand dollar still holding up? I know that I saw on my FX book that over 90% of the traders were short the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, which is interesting. Could mean that there is some more room left to go to the upside. But I'm yeah. So dollar's kind of mixed bag, right? The dollar is not. I mean, of course, the FOMC is tomorrow, so it makes sense that it would be mixed. But I feel like against the euro is looking stronger, but against New Zealand dollar versus the Australian dollar, dollar's looking pretty good. Huh. So I guess we're seeing the pound making some gains here. What's to the upside? What is to the upside? Wow. Before we look any further, let's find out what's going on here. Pound pound looks like it's got some clearance to the upside still to go on the Australian dollar here. I don't see much getting in its way right now, and it looks like, you know, it appears to me we're seeing against the other pair, the Australian dollar showing lots of continued weakness. So that's a pretty steep rise on this channel over here. Yeah, I mean, if someone was long this, they would know better than me, right? Because they've been following this area. But wow, I I would be holding. I would still hold. I would still hold long if I was long this pound Australian dollar. I don't see any reason to sell. Um, I guess the only fundamental reason to sell would, outside of anything crazy happening for the pound, would be, you know, if the China and US actually made a trade deal. That's the only thing that's going to really cause the Australian dollar to see some appreciation, and that's not on the horizon right now. So I'd be continuing to hold long here. Nice trade. Nice trade. You found two good pairs there, for real. So, I mean, really seeing Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, what's going on? First, the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. We're just seeing the Australian dollar again weak because the yen is kind of weak today also. But here against the Australian dollar, it's making gains. New Zealand dollar is stronger, just basically still holding up flat with the doji. Things are flattening out. The most opportunity I do see here something on the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, right? We're coming back towards this support line over here, right? So this gets interesting because if we get the break down, then it opens up the short side clearly and nicely. And we should get not only to the short side, at that point, we got to be looking what happens first around 0.89 and then see how price reacts and then possibly to new yearly lows. So this looks good. But until that happens, you have to assume that the support down here is going to hold. So you have, potentially nice buy if we get a reversal off of this support down here right now. And then if at the same time, your risk is so well defined. And if you're wrong, you also have the opportunity to get short. So that looks good. The Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, US dollar, Canadian dollar also looks good trading off of this support right now, that it's at right now. If price, I didn't take this during London and I'm not looking to get in now. I want to, prove me right, start making new highs. And that looks interesting. I could be dead wrong. I expect the dollar to firm up tomorrow. We'll see. I don't also what makes it difficult, I don't expect any big moves tomorrow if the market is pricing in the Fed being on hold and no expected change in the forward guidance. So I don't foresee any surprises whatsoever tomorrow. So that makes it tough to trade. Gold, waiting for it to rise higher to see if I get a possible opportunity to short. And same thing with the euro US dollar. Only if it gets towards that really, like, you can see right here it's stalling out, and I could see why it could possibly be stalling out. But it's up here where, like, I'm at a strong resistance that I feel more comfortable taking that possible trade. This wasn't in play for me. I wish it was. I was looking at that, but again, I would have took quick profits on that with what's going on this week. What else are we looking at today? Let me look on the daily. It looks right now as the U.S. equities just opened. They're just opening slightly lower. No real edge there one way or the other. Right? So we haven't followed this in a couple of days. We did speak about this. So let's look at this right now together really quick. We did speak, and I didn't find those charts. I didn't even get a chance to look for them. We spoke about what topping patterns on the indices look like, and every single time, from what I've saw in the past, when you have it looks like this. You have a high put in, followed by a higher high, then a steep sell off, and then a lower high. And you know, I'm not calling a top here. I'm not trying to call a top at all. I'm just noting this pattern that is in play here. Just for the fun of it, right? Just to see what happens. So, and as a reminder, I want to try and find those. It's about a snapshot of 6 to 8 different market tops going back over the 100 years on the indices, and this is the pattern. So anyone who trades the indices, take a look at it. Be aware. It's kind of interesting. What's going on over on the S&P? Same thing. Higher high, lower high. Let's see what happens. In order to invalidate this current pattern, this topping pattern you're seeing, obviously price needs to go ahead and make higher highs. What's going on for oil? Let's take a look. That doesn't look too solid. She's holding right here, this trend line over here. but she got caught up by this resistance overhead. So sometime within the next, whether it's days or a week, we should see a breakout, whether it's to the upside or back down to the downside. A break below makes life easy. Then you have your risk really tight to the upside. You know where you're wrong. You have some nice move to the downside before you look at your first take profit. So I don't trade oil, but that looks like a good, where she's in a good position to look for a possible trade to the short side if you get a break over here. Yeah, let's take a look. That's good. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping she gets up there to that resistance level, and I could see that happening definitely within the next 24 hours pretty easily. We have to get above that line here, this resistance line, for me to even be looking to the long side. And if we do get above this line over here, and able to hold that breakout, at that point we'll focus in on together, and I'll be looking for a price to pull back and test that broken resistance, and then on a resumption to get long over here. But until that happens, I would only be looking to get long off of this trend line. If it holds again, it held over here. We were looking over here and to get short off of this resistance. And I hope she takes another look at it. But if she doesn't, also, when you have like this type of pattern, when you have like a sell-off and then you put in 2 bars that look exactly like that, that's also usually a strong continuation pattern to the downside. So if you see us tomorrow making a lower low, right, and you wanted to get a little crafty, trade a really short time frame, if you make a lower low than today's price bar, then you have, what is that? It's like 0.1060 to about 36. So that's about, you have about 25, 30 pips in there to play with, and that looks like a good trade. That's outside of my wheelhouse. That's not what I do, so I'm not going to do it. I only stick to what I do. Even though if I could see something that clearly looks like a trade, I have to the only way that I'm able to survive so long is by showing discipline. And the way you show discipline is by always sticking to your plan and never taking any trades outside of it. So about 8 minutes now until the US indices have opened, and we're seeing the indices selling off a little bit here today. I'm not sure why, what's going on, but that is what's happening. We have the Fed meeting tomorrow, big deal. ECB meeting Thursday, Swiss National Bank meeting Thursday, and also the elections out of the UK also on Thursday. Big calendar this week. So is there anything that anyone really wants to dig into and look into together? Is there any pair anyone's watching? Does anyone have any feedback on the setups that I'm looking at on gold, euro, US dollar, and US dollar, Canadian dollar, and Australian dollar, Canadian dollar? Those are the 4 that I'm looking at inflection points for possible trade setups. Or does anyone want to look at a pair that we haven't even looked at, or review a pair that they see something on and are interested in taking a look at? Let's see, let me pull this up at the same time. We had, if you look, I'm not really, I'm not really offended, but I noticed in the last couple of videos that we've done, the live stream yesterday, Friday, that definitely getting where we used to never get any thumbs down. And so I apologize. You're here now, and you feel that our analysis is lacking. Listen, I'm here for myself primarily, and I have to do what I do. So if you don't like the fact that I'm going to sit here and view the market, and if I'm not going to take a trade, I'm sorry. I don't really care. I have to do what I have to do in order to make money in the markets. And that's that. And Hanera, how's it going? And I really want you to be able to do what is needed also. And that's why we do what we do. And again, I stand really firm by it because I see how many trades I make. If you're making more than 3 trades a week, you're probably losing money. And the thing that you can do the quickest to rectify that is, first of all, stop trading in this moment. Just pay attention to what we're doing and start taking those fewer trades. And you're going to see that everything's going to start turning around pretty quickly. And we're not right. I'm not right on all the trades I take by any means. I'm not looking to be right either, because when I'm taking it, like if I took this trade, if price were to go on Australian dollar, Canadian dollar right here, if price, now that it's trading down at this support, were to come around and then start making a high during one of my preferred sessions, which is anything but Asia. And if I'm wrong, well, then I'm going to get stopped out, and my stop loss is going to be like, you know, defined beforehand, probably be risking about 1%. And it's not a big deal, right, to take a loss, because it's not hurting me by any means. And the trades that work out, right, I, I really reduce my risk really quickly, even though from the beginning it's better than 1-to-1, right? As soon as I close in on that first resistance level when I'm buying, I'm moving my stop to break even. I'm reducing my risk all the time. And it just, when trades come in waves and moves come in waves, and it's very similar to a surfer waiting for that set of waves to come in. But if you wait for the set of waves, if you're wrong, you're wrong. You get, you just get out really quick. And when you're right, you're gonna build up your account. So that's what we're doing. I'm not gonna change that, you know. And I know that's what makes trading so difficult, is that it's an individual perspective where you get to make all the rules and no one can tell you different, and you have all these options. But it's not so one of the things that Blair, in if you're listening, in trading in the zone, he did say that, like, when you do learn to, I don't know if he said master the markets, when you learn to make money from the markets, kind of insinuated that, like, you could just take money out of the markets whenever you please. And that's where I differ. It's not like that, like, you don't have any type of, like, if you don't know how to make money out of the markets, it's like this struggle where you're reaching and you're just looking for something to work. So when you finally get past that and learn how to make money, it's not like that at all, because you have a clear vision and understanding of what it takes and what's needed. And it's not like you could just pull money out of the markets all the time. It's more like, I'm not a fisherman, right? But it's probably more like a successful fisherman who knows that, like, when they cast that line into there, that they're not going to pull up a fish in that second, but they know what's needed to do to catch that fish. And they know sometimes that means, like, waiting there patiently for however long that might be. But they know that if they keep doing what they do, they're going to pull up their fish. And to me, that's what successful trading is, the best analogy I could give you. Roof it 100%. We just, we have 5 kids. I gotta wait for the weekend with my wife, and I haven't had the time. We're flying later today. I'll have some downtime, probably on the plane. And because you did reach out though, and you showed that initiative, I'm gonna lay it out for you. Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna forget. I will get back to you. And thank you for your patience. This is just abnormal. We're almost always home with the kids. All right. So is there anything else though, sincerely, that anyone wants to look at this morning? I feel good that I have my plan for these next 24 hours in my head of what I'm waiting for and watching to see if it'll develop. Again, I won't be surprised if better on the daily. The reason I would have taken profit here if I got into that trade is because I do expect, I don't know if we're going to get up into this resistance level. I'm not expecting that we will. If we do, then I have like alert, now it's time to get active and look. If we stall out and roll over here, I see it coming ahead of time, no big deal. Same thing with gold. I don't know that we're going to get up into my comfortable zone, right? But I'm not going to get short the FOMC unless we do get up here. Otherwise, if we break down below here, if I was sharp and active, like that's something to consider. But I'm going to have to see what happens on the break. Hopefully we get a retest. If we do break, so what I'm saying on those two pairs, only if they get to my resistance level and bounce off, am I going to take them? Otherwise, I'm not taking them. There it is. Yeah, let's take a look at the pound US dollar. Alberto, do you have a broker connected to TradingView? I don't. I use FX Choice. I use a MetaTrader 4 broker. I use FX Choice, and I also use Bitcoin as my base currency. If you're using TradingView, then you're using one of these brokers. Are you paper trading, or are you using Onanda or TradeStation? What are you connecting TradingView to? Pound US dollar. All right. So Alberto, if you're looking for a trading manual, wait, before we go any further, are you looking just to be able to look at the charts on TradingView, to go ahead and add the true trend to it, or are you looking to trade off it? That's something you have to know first. Again, I know most Forex traders, we like MetaTrader 4. Oanda is a phenomenal broker though, and you could add Oanda to TradingView and trade off of TradingView directly with Oanda. If you're trading our simple and easy Forex trading system that for beginners, you could do that with Oanda easily. So anyway, and there has to be countless YouTube videos on trading with TradingView, and I would search inside of YouTube TradingView tutorial. Pound US dollar. So this is very important. You have to always be aware of what's going on the calendar. You have this week on Thursday, the 12th, we have the elections, which are definitely going to affect the British pound, right? So it looks like that the pound, which broke out last week, was kind of being a little preemptive of those elections. And right now she's sitting up towards, it looks cleared of this resistance right now. It looks like it's, just above them this morning, or at resistance, above that resistance, call it support right now. And it looks to be targeting right up here at this next resistance level we have put in above. So all that I'm saying is you're not looking to take a trade today on the pound, right? Because you have those big high impact news event coming up on Thursday. And if you're already in the trade, be careful what happens up around here on the news. If you get a spike into here, be careful that it doesn't become a sell the news type event, which it could be. Or, you know, if it's pretty clear that I'm not familiar with what's going on exactly with the UK politics, but if it's clear that for whatever reason the elections go the way of the Prime Minister Johnson, and that this means that they're going to be able to get out of the EU at I think at the end of December, they're talking now. If they win this election, you could see some serious further pound appreciation across the board. The pound, you know, could continue to go higher on that. This is very, very news driven. If you're trading the pound and you're just not trading it pure technically as per a system, like our very easy trading strategy that's pure technical, then you have to know what's going on. You have to be very familiar with the politics, because this is event driven. You could, if you're trading this purely technically from a trading system, then you don't even have to worry about it. You just take your signals as they come. Paul, first take a look at that, and then Wilford, we'll get into the entry signals, which are strict for me. Yes. So daily resistance level. I have this red one over here. Make it a little darker. So I'm looking why I drew it in and how good it is. And so it's more of a blue box, I think. So you have over here, you have the resistance, and then you have support up further. This again was support over here. This was resistance. It's fuzzy all throughout here, but you see this again was resistance. So this is not like, this is exactly where I have mine in, Paul, but it's fuzzy over here, and it's been fuzzy, and that's just a guide then. And this whole area actually between these two support and resistance levels, which I think we probably had as a blue box, not from right where my mouse is right now to the upside, is all congested and fuzzy. It's kind of sideways, and it's not really offering an edge, right? So it's more as if we get above this resistance to the upside or below the support to the downside, where things look a little easier. It's tight for me, and I don't see a trade for myself. There's opportunity because you have distance, but it's not, I don't see it for myself at all. Jeff, we talked about you and your analysis yesterday on the Australian dollar, US dollar. So being that you're here right now, I don't know if you saw it. I'm going to review that really quick because it's a good one, and then we'll get into it further. Wilford, I do have strict entry rules for what I'm looking for my entries, and without really getting into it now, but to give you a solid overview of what that is, and I will include some of that to you though, is I'm looking to take buys off of support, and I'm looking to sell off of resistance. All right, that's the first and most important. That I'm on the daily time frame, I map out where my support and my resistance levels are. I also add in off the daily trend lines, right? And I look for channels, trend lines, and patterns such as triangles or bull or bear flags. And I'm looking to trade off of the support and resistance of those. That the support and resistance you draw on the daily will be seen on every time frame, because whether you're looking at the 1 hour, the 4 hour, or the 8-hour, it's the same support and resistance levels. I then go down to the 8-hour for my entries, where I look for entry. And my entry when buying is when price makes a previous high, a higher high than the previous price bar, as long as it's during New York or London. And when I'm selling, it's a lower low than the previous price bar coming off of resistance. Again, not during Asia, only during London or New York. And it's only, I will take a trade during Asia if it has to do around the central bank announcement, whether it's New Zealand, Australia, or Japan. Falling resistance. So I don't have anything here. I don't have anything going on at all over here with any type of trend line in play. At all. I don't see it. I don't see it, Paul. If that's what you're, again, I don't have this in here. I'm not trading off of it. I'm trying to look for something that you might see. And that might be it. This might be the line you're focused off of. But I'm using this resistance and this support as far as that's concerned. And you know, this might be a line that I'm not looking at it. This could be something that someone might be looking to consider. I hope that helps. All right, let's take a look at the Australian dollar, US dollar. This is a good learning experience, actually. So if you've been following what I'm doing, and I need to look at the daily with you here so that you get a better idea of what we're looking at. I had this trend line drawn in over here, not the upper one. All right, I had this trend line drawn in over here. I said that it had broken up to the upside and then fallen back in. It then was respected, broke, but fell back in, came up, was respected again, broke above, and then held until it fell, and then came back up again. And that's all I was watching, right? And I had this resistance over here. This is what I was watching. Jeff actually took a look at it and had the same resistance, but drew this line in, which makes sense. You could see it. And it was in play multiple points, and it added a lot of value to the analysis. And he was looking to take a short in this area off of this resistance with this channel up here. And that was the ideal play, right? What happens now though, right? And after he sent me the photo, I then was looking at it. I added it into our charts because it's good and I like it and it should have been there. But what happens now? Price was rejected up in this area. And again, you could have, if price would have resumed off of this lower bound, if this would have continued to hold yesterday, this was a potential play to the upside as well. But it didn't hold. It broke down, right? And let's look down on the 8-hour now and see what that looks like. All right. So we're kind of flat. You see the true trend here is not really trending at the moment. It's a little bit choppy back and forth, up, down, and price is reflecting that too. But you now have broken below this lower channel as well. So that's why when we were looking at this earlier today, I said, well, this looks like it's really changing and setting up for some further weakness. It's trading right above this support still right now. So it's broken below this other trend line and it's holding this support. What's the play right now? Well, the play in this moment is nothing, right? Why? Well, we're hugging the support right below this resistance right above it, and true trend's flat, breaking to the downside, but the entry CCI is already oversold to the downside. So the easiest way to play this is if we get a breakdown, right? And then it's clear below this support over here. If price trades below that support and closes below it, and we break down below that support, well, then it looks like we have some further downside, where a nice trade to the short side develops. You know how we get into that. If we get the opportunity, it'll be because the entry CCI came back up in the downtrend. And that means that price is then testing this broken support. And you have two resistance levels close to each other. That's a good place if price resumes back downwards to get short it. But that's got we're definitely a little bit of time before that happening. And we could reevaluate. You could reevaluate during London, and again during the opening tomorrow or after the Fed tomorrow. It's not happening yet, but that's what I mean. You have to be watching now to what could happen, and adversely, you could get back up into here. If we got back up into here, probably the smart thing to do is wait till you get back further close up to the upside here and are testing this double resistance over here to look for a short or wait for that to break before getting long. If you get above here, then it's a clear buying opportunity and this looks good, right? Or selling off of here looks also really, really nice. But right here, you're looking to get short only if the support breaks and then you get your entry into it. So you'd be leaning off of this support and also this lighter trend line as well, which is held multiple times, the lower trend line. But so has the upper one, even better. It's not clear exactly, Paul. That's excellent analysis, right? That's the thing. It's never easy, but sometimes it's not clear, right? Or sometimes it's just not there. And that's really important to recognize. And so the best thing that you could have happening right now, Paul, would be that this price gets rejected over here and that you see, oh, okay, well, it did respect that. You see it sloping down a little. You have the resistance over here. And if price is rejected over here, then you could be like, okay, it wasn't clear, but I saw it. And that's okay. Like if it's not clear, but you see it and it happens as you saw it, well, that's good because you're learning to really read the market well. But it's not really clear and it's not there, so it's better to stand aside. And that is mature, solid growth. So hopefully it's rejected here, and you'd be like, yeah, I saw it, but it's not clear. So support and resistance, I'm sure most of you get really well. And again, always remember, it's not a science, it's an art. And just because you draw the line over here at 1.11, 0.89, or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that like to the pip, that's the line. It's that area. You watch what happens. And remember, you always have to get a close above or below that resistance, because you could, if the candle spikes below it, this is not a breakdown of the support level here on this price bar right here. That's not the price held. You see it spiked down below, but closed above it. So this support level held here. Traders got caught off guard. We were watching that together in lifetime. We were watching for the fake breakout actually, and it was a fake breakout. But as far as learning to draw, if you know, Wilford, that this is something that you need to work on, well, I'll tell you what, it's really crucial for your trading to be able to recognize support and resistance. So just first of all, do a little bit of Googling, whether it's in YouTube itself and or on the web, and look at, I know Baby Pips has a section on support and resistance. Check out what they have to say. And within a week of just spending some time focusing in on support and resistance, you spend a week's worth of time focusing in on how to draw support and resistance, you're going to get a lot better in just 1 week. And it's really important because that's where we start. Everything starts off with support and resistance for us. So work on that. And that's the first thing to work on. Then the second thing is, if you feel like you're opening trades too soon, well, don't worry. Figure out and spend some time working on, getting up to speed better, more proficient on your support and resistance. And while you're doing that, stay with us for the live streams. And that's going to help you learn to develop that skill set of patience a little bit better, and waiting and seeing. And then, you're only talking about putting in, a few weeks worth of time here to grow leaps and bounds. So don't worry about it. You're doing great. See that the indices are turning around here this morning. This is very mixed. It's a mixed day. As we get to this down point of the day, I like then always to check in what's going on. Wow, that's a big jump here, right? This economic sentiment in Germany was a huge beat. Maybe that's why the euro was up a little bit this morning, and it looks like that move's getting sold. They always say this though, right? Until it's no good anymore. All right. Paul, were you focused in on a particular pair that you're seeing the third touch happening right now? Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy it. You know that. And I think we're good for today. Again, I'm traveling a little later this afternoon. Tomorrow we have a big day in front of us. We'll definitely be on all the way through the London close tomorrow, and then also for the FOMC. And again, I'm just gonna, and I am live. If we get up towards this resistance, I don't think we're going to. Again, I would have taken profits on this, but if we get towards my resistance here and then resume downwards before the FOMC tomorrow, I like it. I'm going to take it. Same thing with gold. If we are able to get up there, then I like it. It becomes an interesting trade for me because I know if I'm wrong really quick, and I like that. The Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, does seem interesting down here. We'll see what happens. And also, there was something else that I had my eye on: the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar. Which looks good. If this turns around and starts making a higher high during London, I'm interested in it, and only because there's so much room to the upside. If the support areas are able to hold over here, there's a lot of room to the upside. First resistance where you need to move your stop to break even is right about here. And if we get clear of it, we have all the way to the top of the box, which will coincide with this trend line over here. And so I am interested. But that's my game plan going in till tomorrow. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for spending the time, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.